The directions for the problem say I'm supposed to solve this equation for W, so I'm trying to get W on one side of the equation all by itself. W occurs in a couple places in this equation. What I'm going to want to do probably is get rid of the fractions, so I'm going to multiply both sides by the LCD. There's only one denominator in the problem, so that's going to be my LCD. My LCD is just going to be A plus W. So I'm just going to multiply both sides by A plus W. Now, I've got to think of that A plus W as its own quantity, so I could sort of imagine it in parentheses. That's pretty important on the left here, and I can write it either before or after the Q. As long as I'm multiplying, it doesn't matter. So I can say Q times A plus W, and then here I can get this fraction, and then I can multiply by the A plus W, and if I want, I can think of that then as being over 1, right? So this A plus W is what got added in to both sides, right? So I've multiplied the left-hand side by A plus W, and I've multiplied the right-hand side by A plus W. The reason I did that here, it gets rid of the fraction then. A plus W goes into itself once and once. And so what I've got, Q times A plus W equals A times W. We need to reevaluate a little bit. Where am I here? What am I trying to do? I'm trying to solve this equation for W. And here I see that I have W on both sides of the equation. I don't like that. When I'm solving an equation for a variable, it's really important that the variable end up on only one side. That means I'm going to have to start moving my W around. I've either got to move W from the left to the right or from the right to the left. The problem that's going to mess with me here is the fact that I've got these parentheses over here. I really need to get rid of those parentheses. So to do that, I'm going to distribute. I'm going to multiply the Q times both of those terms. So I'm going to get Q times A plus Q times W equals A times W. Again, keep your eye on the bouncing ball here. We are trying to solve for W. That means I need W on only one side. Right now, it's on the left and it's on the right. I think what's going to work best here, I want to get everything involving W on one side, everything not involving W on the other. So I'm going to want to move this term probably over there. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to subtract it from the left and then subtract that from the right. So that's going to leave me Q times A on the left, and I'm going to get A times W minus Q times W on the right. Again, I'm trying to solve for W. Keep track of where your W is. Now I can think of that, this is this little trick that works, I can think of that as my common factor. So Q times A, I get the W, I factor it out, right? We play what's missing. That's really a times, so I can get the W alone by dividing by the A minus Q, and whatever I do to one side I have to do to the other side. These cancel out, so I get Q times A over A minus Q equals W. Don't get cancel happy. This is Q times A in the top. So Q and A are factors of the numerator because they're being multiplied. But Q and A are not factors of the denominator because they're being subtracted. They're not part of a multiplication problem. You can only cancel out common factors. So Q and A are factors of the top, but not factors of the bottom. So I don't have any common factors here, and I would be done.